What's up, guys? Dan here for BladeReviews.com, back again with another knife review. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Cold Steel Mini Tuff Lite. And I'll tell you guys, if you're into collecting knives, you know it's very easy to get wrapped up in the latest and greatest, especially if you hang out on YouTube and the forums and stuff. You get assaulted by so many sweet knives that you just have to have, and the prices, they just creep up and up, especially if you're looking at exotic steels, carbon fiber, titanium, Damascus, this, that, and the other. You know, next thing you know, you got a bunch of really fancy knives. And I'll tell you what, I love them, and I'm going to continue to review them. But sometimes it's nice just to come back down to earth and pick up a tool that doesn't cost an arm and a leg and just gets the job done. And that's exactly what we have here with the Cold Steel Mini Tuff Lite. So I am very excited about this review. Even if the price tag isn't that big, the level of excitement I have towards the knife is very large indeed. So let's get into it. Enough blabbering about the knife. Let's do some specs. We got an overall length here of 5 inches, a 2-inch blade, although much shorter cutting edge, and a weight of a mere 1.7 ounces. So this thing is ideal as a backup knife or as a very small EDC. It works just as well as something like a Dragonfly. If you're, say, going to school, you're on a college campus and they've got some kind of funky gray areas with their laws, or you're in an area where there's limitations on the size of knife that you can carry, Cold Steel Mini Tuff Lite's almost guaranteed to pass through that. And here's another great size comparison. We've got the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. So there you can see, Mini Tuff Lite is smaller than both of these other knives, which are excellent. These are some of my favorite small EDC knives. And the Mini Tuff Lite is hanging tough there with the best. So let's take a closer look at the blade here. And first off, I want to say, I think that the design, I think just the look of this thing is ugly. I think it's ugly as heck. Reminds me of like a bug or cockroach or something. And they make a full-size version of the knife that I just wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. The reason why I like this one is it's because it's so small and compact and packs just a very high value. So, but the large one just doesn't do it for me. Anyhow, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the blade here, which is a Wharncliffe, given a relatively high hollow grind, nice satin finish. And being a Wharncliffe, it's got a very acute tip, great for detail work, great for precision cuts, and you've got a reasonable amount of blade steel here, 2.5 millimeter thick AUS 8A, which is plenty thick for a knife like this. And I'll tell you, it gets the job done. AUS 8 is not the best steel in the world. It will lose its edge, especially if you're working with some really abrasive materials, like cutting through a lot of cardboard. And speaking of cardboard, I did notice that since it had such a small blade, it would get hung up on this little choil and then I guess the ricasso here when you're trying to power through cardboard. So, yeah, does this have all the capabilities of a much larger knife? No, because by its very definition, it's a small knife. But it'll cut stuff, it cuts it well, and after it dulls from a hard day's work, very easy to resharpen. Should take you like no time at all to get this thing back to hair popping sharp, which is what I like to keep all my knives at if I'm going to carry them every day. No problem at all with the AUS 8. Alright, let's take a closer look at the handle here, which is plastic. It might be some sort of reinforced plastic. It actually feels pretty high quality. I know some people have serious issues with plastic handled knives. I'm one of those people who really doesn't, so it doesn't bother me at all, but I'm sure material kind of snobs will definitely frown at the Mini Tuff Lite here, but it's actually very well made. It's been rounded, all the corners, and it's comfortable. It is screw together construction, although I've not tried to take this one apart. I don't know how easy that would be, or if it's even really feasible here. A little knife like this, but construction seems very high considering. It's also quite strong. I'm pushing on this thing hard. It might be flexing just a little bit, but really quite impressive considering, and especially consider the weight, 1.7 ounces. So construction is good. Ergonomics are really good. It reminds me of the Dragonfly in that it's got this nice forward choil and then a second choil here for your finger and plenty of room for my large hands. So full grip, no problem. You got a little run of jimping here. Not the most aggressive jimping in the world, but it allows you to index your thumb there and have some control over the knife, have some ideas to what you're working with, and it gets the job done for the kind of tasks that you'll use this one for. So there you go. I think the ergonomics are good. Let's take a closer look at that pocket clip, which is a pretty plain Jane looking clip. It is rather bright with a satin finish here. Not my first choice, but is what it is. And it is tip down, right side carry only. So another kind of ding. You don't have the kind of ambidextrous carry that I would prefer, or a tip up carry, another thing I would prefer. But you know what? It gets the job done. A little knife like this, it's not like it's some sort of tactical folder where you're going to need it at a moment's notice. For me, it's not that big of an issue. So it gets the knife from A to B, and it's there when you need it. Easy enough to insert and remove. Nice stiff pocket clip. Let's talk a little bit about the deployment and lockup here. So you've got a little thumb oval, easy to access, and there you go. You just get the knife open. It's not the fastest deploying knife, at least for me. I can't really flick it. I guess I can kind of flick it, but I usually don't. I just open it with my thumb like that, nice and purposefully. And it's good. It's kind of sharp around the edges here, which some people might find a little uncomfortable. I like it because it ensures that the knife is going to open. You know, you're not worrying about slipping off the hole here. It works really well. So there you go. That's how the knife opens. And lockup is very solid. What you have here is a triad lock, tried and true, very well-tested lock, and I've actually used this on some kind of heavy stuff. I tooled around with some 2x4s a while back, and I'll tell you, if you use something like a Dragonfly on a 2x4, and I'm talking about just trying to push cut through it or whittle deep chunks out of it, this lock will flex. You'll feel the blade kind of push back, and the whole knife will kind of flex and contort a little bit under the pressure. Did not have that issue with the Cold Steel Mini Tuff Lite. It was solid as a rock, so that's thanks to the overbuilt triad lock here. I'm a big fan of it, especially on something like this. Although that said, I mean, are you really going to be cutting 2x4s with your Mini Tuff Lite? I hope that that's not the only tool in your tool belt there if you got to do that, at least on a regular basis. So, but it is nice to know that the Tuff Lite will handle it, and you know, compared to other knives in its class, I will say it feels a little bit stronger to me. So there you go, guys. Went through pretty much everything I wanted to say. Still kind of a longer review for such a small knife, but wanted to be thorough. Hope you found it entertaining. Final thoughts. I like this one a lot. For less than $25, I think it's something of a no-brainer. If you want a smaller knife on your person, but you don't want to say spend $40, $45 on something like a Dragonfly, or $50, $60 for a mini Griptilian, I think this is a great little option. Certainly gets the job done for a fraction of the price. So there you go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, this is Dan for BladeReviews.com. Take care, be safe. I'll be coming at you soon with another knife review.